to the Four Bells. Welcome to 2021 and our first workout from home, number 57 of this new glorious year. We say goodbye to 2020. We try to forget about all that crazy schmozzle that was 2020 and try and focus on what we can focus on, which is our ability to control our fitness and our health. So whether you're here at the gym with me, which is only me and the beautiful cameraman, or you're at home in your basement, we are going to focus on some upper body pulling to get us ready for this new year. So we're going to warm up today with 3 things to get us ready for our pulling today. We're going to look at shoulder dislocates, a way of seeing how our shoulders are moving. Maybe you sat down a lot over the new year, didn't move very much, we're trying to get those shoulders moving. From there, we're going to look at scapular push-ups, a way to get the scapula sliding and moving as it should do across the rib cage. And then from there, looking at a little bit of spinal mobility and a little bit of rotation through the spine in the form of the scorpion. We're going to do some shoulder dislocates for 10, scap push-ups for 5, and scorpions for 5 per side. We're going to do those for 3 sets of the warm-up today. So let's go and take a look at them right about now. When we're doing shoulder dislocates, essentially, what do I have available to me? And we do these a lot in the gym, or we did these last week, we had our upper body day as well. I like the band a lot for a shoulder dislocate. It's nice and forgiving, particularly if you have very tight shoulders. You can use a PVC pipe, also a great tool, but because the PVC pipe doesn't flex and bend, it's a little bit like the cruel Kung Fu master compared to the band, which is like its nice cousin. We're going to pass over, touching the lower back or the bum, and you can do this seated or you can do it standing, whatever feels best for you. And all I should be thinking is, as I go through the reps and as I go through those 3 sets, is can I get the hands closer and closer together and really try to challenge the muscles around the shoulder as well as my range of motion. From there, when it comes to scapular push-ups, hard to see. I'm wearing a black hoodie and I'm going to put my hood up. But when I'm doing my scapular push-ups, I'm trying to look at scapular retraction. So that means keeping the arms straight, I'm going to squeeze the shoulder blades together and then I'm going to push the shoulder blades apart as much as possible. The only thing that moves here is my shoulder blades. My elbows don't move, my hips don't sag, and I'm just squeezing the shoulder blades together, squeezy, and then bring them apart, try and round the upper back as much as possible. From there, with the scorpion, we're going to lay down chest on the floor. I'm going to get those arms out to the side. And then depending on how mobile I am, I'm going to try and touch my opposite foot to my opposite hand, which means I'm going to take my left foot, reach it across and try and touch that right hand. I'm going to take my right foot, reach it across, try and touch my left hand. And what we're trying to do here is mobilize the spine, open the pecs a little bit, and just see how well we can get that spine to move at the beginning of 2021. So that means in our warm-up today, shoulder dislocates, 10 reps, scapular push-ups for 5 reps, scorpion 5 per side, 10 total. We're doing that for 3 times in the warm-up today. With the strength piece for workout from home, number 57, we are doing some upper body pulling, depending on what resources we have available, and also some abdominal work at the same time. So we've got 5 sets. Each set is 3 minutes long, split into 2 90-second windows of time. And in our first 90 seconds, we get to choose our own adventure. Do we want to do some kind of horizontal pulling, some kind of rowing, or do we want to do some kind of vertical pulling in the form of chin-ups or negatives? So if we're doing a horizontal pulling today, maybe you've got a set of rings at home, maybe you've got a TRX, maybe you've got a barbell with some plates. We're going to do 10 of some kind of horizontal row at a 3-0-1-0 tempo, which means we have to read it in reverse order. We have to read the concentric path first because we're concentric when we row. We read the eccentric path second, so it's a bit confusing when we're looking at it. But essentially what that means is I'm going to row for 1 second, there'll be 1, 2, 3 on the way down. So we're trying to get some extra time under tension. That's the aim of the game today. So we're going to talk about some variations of what we can do for rows. 10 reps, 3-0-1-0. And if you don't want to do rows and you have a chin-up bar available today, we should be looking at either chin-ups, maybe they're just with body weight, maybe they're weighted if you're a real chin-up ninja, or some kind of negative. And we're going to do 3 to 5 reps. So that means if I can always do 5, do 5. But if we find the quality is starting to diminish and I'm just plummeting from the earth, janking onto my joints, we don't want to do that. So if you find that 5 means the quality diminishes, we move down 3, but don't just jump to 3. Hold on to those reps for as long as we can. Maybe if that just means 4, that's fine too. From there, once we've done our first 90 seconds, I'm either doing rows or chins. From there, I'm going to do some hollow holds today. So with our hollow holds, you know, if you're here at the 4 bells, we do 4 levels of hollow hold. We're going to go over how to do all of those. So let's look at rowing, chins, and abs. When it comes to rows today, ideally we're trying to do them with a neutral grip, so that means thumbs up, regardless of what type of option we're doing. So of course, if you have a barbell, you have no choice. You have to be either pronated or supinated. You get to choose today, but the focus is making sure we get some bicep work in as well as some back work in. So you choose whichever works best for you. If I'm doing rings or a TRX today, of course, the distance from the pivot point is going to dictate how hard it is. So always, I like to start with my rings or straps roughly about what we like to call championship belt height in the gym. I'm going to lean back into a nice plank, inverted plank position, no less. I'm going to keep my quads tight, bum tight, abs tight. I drive the elbows back for 1, and it's 3, 2, 1 on the way down. Drive the elbows back, then 3, 2, 1 on the way down. So of course, if you're using rings or a TRX, you can make it harder by lengthening the strap if you're against the door. That'll get you closer to the floor, add more body weight. If you, of course, are on a chin-up bar, moving your feet through and under the chin-up bar and getting yourself underneath the bar is going to make that harder. And of course, if you're at home and you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't have rings, I don't have a TRX, I don't have a barbell, you probably have 2 things that you can use. So we did this quite a lot in our last lockdown, which is basically using a mix and match approach. So if we're doing 10 reps, you could have a heavy kettlebell and a light dumbbell. I'm still going to row. I row up, 1, 2, 3, up, 1, 2, 3. And then when I've done 5 reps, just switch it over. So there's ways to mix and match. There's ways to make this harder. Look for objects around your house that you can use. And of course, if you need guidance, send us a message. We are very happy to help. Chin-ups are our other pulling option for today, but for a lot of people, the chin-up is very difficult. If you are on the rough side of the spectrum, you're tall, you're big and heavy like me, there's a lot of weight to pull up. Even if you are smaller and lighter and you are blessed by the gods of chin-ups, it still requires a huge amount of upper body pulling strength to get yourself there. So we've got a couple of options available to you if you have a chin-up bar at home. Of course, if I'm doing regular chin-ups or weighted chin-ups, that means a supinated grip. The palms are facing me, which means we've got a little bit more focus on the elbow flexors and the bicep and slightly less focus on the lats. There's not a huge difference between the two, but we rely a little bit more on the arms to initiate that lift. So that means if I'm starting, hand should be just outside of shoulder width, I'm going to start from a dead hang, pull myself up, and then I come back down to a nice straight arm position. If I'm doing negatives, same rules apply. All I'm going to do now is maybe get a box or a step so I'm a little bit closer to that bar, and I can jump up, hold myself, pause for a full second, and then over across maybe 3 to 5 seconds, I'm going to come down to a straight arm. So we are going to do 3 to 5 chin-ups. Again, if you're a real chin-up ninja, maybe you can do your chin-ups weighted. If you're just a regular human, you can just do 5 regular bodyweight chin-ups. And if you're still working towards your chin-ups, then negatives that will jump up and slow eccentric are a great option for you. With the hollow hold, we are looking to get some extra abdominal work in today. So it actually helps us with our chin-ups. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say, but we're done with EMG studies actually proving there's a huge amount of abdominal and low back engagement that comes from having good core strength when doing chin-ups. So the stronger your core is, it can actually help your chin-ups along the road. So something definitely worth pairing with our pulling strength today. So when we're doing our hollow holds, we're doing them for 45 seconds. It's trying to find the level, and we have 4 levels, that I can do for 45 seconds without resting. So of course, if that means we need to do like an intentional drop set as we go through, if one level's getting too hard, I can of course drop down to an easier level, but the intention is to try and make it as challenging as possible for 45 seconds. So when it comes to a hollow hold, I'm looking to brace the low back into the floor and almost make my body into like a little saucer shape. So that means I'm going to get my shoulder blades off the floor, press my low back down, reach the hands off, and level 1 is thighs to the ceiling, knees to the ceiling, and I'm just pressing that low back down. Level 2 is one leg straight. Level 2.5 is the other leg, so you can maybe do 20 seconds at each leg, roughly. From there, level 3 is both legs straight, still pressing the low back down, and level 4 is both arms overhead with both legs straight. So either one, whichever one of those 4 levels you choose, the idea is to hold it for 45 seconds in our strength piece. We're going to do 5 sets of some kind of pulling, horizontal or vertical, 5 sets of hollow holds. That is our strength piece today. The conditioning piece today is all about pressing in shoulders and abs and trying to not only create strong shoulders but also healthy ones, also stable ones, also stabilize the spine, create a healthy spine, strong abs. There's a lot of things happening all at once in our conditioning piece today. Essentially, we've got these 5 stations and we're going to be at each station for 30 seconds. And we're going to go through them in this order 5 times. So each round is going to be 2.5 minutes long, which means that our conditioning piece today, if we conclude the last one, is going to be 12.5 minutes long today. From there, our first 30 seconds is push-ups. We're trying to do push-ups for 30 seconds straight. But of course, pace, intensity, how difficult the push-up is for you is going to dictate how this conditioning piece goes. So if you know that push-ups are extremely hard for you, elevate yourself a lot, make the beginning of this conditioning piece easy so we keep the shoulders a little bit fresh and not just horrendous straight out the gates. From there, 30-second number 2 is going to be a side plank. So if you work out that one side is weaker than the other, your second strongest side, we start with the second strongest side first, before we then go to our first strongest side, which we're going to do second. From there, our last 30 seconds of work in each round is going to be some plank ups, everyone's favorite ab and tricep extension exercise. And then, last but not least, we're going to rest for 30 seconds before we come back into the next round. So let's look at how all these can work and how we're going to scale them for our conditioning piece for Workout from Home 57. With our conditioning piece today, there's a few things we need to consider in terms of how we execute some of the movements. Because to put it bluntly, I don't want to pick a push-up variation that's too hard and it blows me up at the beginning of the conditioning piece and then I'm just having the most miserable time for the rest of the conditioning piece. So be nice to yourself. I cannot stress that enough. So in my first 30 seconds, that means if I'm doing some kind of push-up, it doesn't need to be scaled. Should I be on the edge of my couch, on the stairs, and still have my mat nearby, because I know I'm going to need it for the subsequent exercises. So either way, if I'm doing push-ups, we spoke about it a whole bunch of times, hands should be shoulder width. I should be trying to corkscrew into the floor. And whether I'm on the stairs or on the edge of my couch or wherever I happen to be, we're keeping that close elbow position, protecting those shoulders as we do our push-ups. From there, side plank options. As I mentioned, we want to try and pick our second strongest side first. So that means, do I need to start with just a bent leg variation, elbow directly below the shoulder, and just push up from here? If that's super easy for you, maybe we're going to stagger the feet, one in front of the other, and still come into our side plank position. If that's easy for you, one leg stacked on top of the other. If that's easy for you, goodness, up onto the hand. If that's easy for you, hand in the air. And if that's easy for you, star-shaped formation. Oh my God! So, when we are picking those, I'm going to spend 30 seconds on my weaker side and then 30 seconds on my stronger side. From there, the last exercise we're going to do is plank ups. So with the plank up, it's nice to have a mat underneath you. That way, I'm not smashing my elbow into a hard floor. Plank position, feet a little bit wider than normal. And the sequence is elbow, elbow, hand, hand. I want to be mindful to not go elbow, elbow, and then hand, hand out in front of me, and I'm sliding around, elbow, elbow, hand, hand, directly below the shoulder. So it's 30 seconds of push-ups. Make it doable for yourself in the first few rounds. 30 seconds per side of a side plank, 30 seconds of plank ups, and then a 30-second rest. We are doing that for 5 times in a real upper body blaster today. Have fun. Let us know how you get on.